A very good evening, teachers. I've come across my TLS exam. Now I'm eagerly waiting for my result, wherein I recollected out of 80 in 2 hours. We were given 80 questions, out of which I have recollected few of them for you. So I thought of uploading a video wherein it will be helpful for you for the upcoming exams. All right. So here are the few questions which I remember. The questions are, one question was about the emotional trait. All right. Is the emotional trait greater than the physical trait, or the physical trait is stable than the cognitive? There was a question related to personality traits, whether it is greater or stable than physical traits. So more or less you'll have to focus on all these traits with a deep understanding. Then there were questions related to sampling. There was a scenario I could roughly remember. There was a situation given on a child, and they'll have to understand certain behavior of the students. So in a group, as a teacher, which sampling method will you use? Will it be a simple random sampling, stratified sampling, or a cluster sampling? So based on the question, you'll have to answer. So whatever is the text, if it is not clear, no worries. I'll be posting it below the chat box, all right, after uploading this video. So then there were questions related to mixed or heterogeneous ability. All right, so it was related with the achievement level. All right, mixed group should do this, or else let's say the high achievement group should be separated as the heterogeneous group, or else the low achiever group should be separated as the homogeneous group. Something related to homogeneous and heterogeneous, but linking it with the high achievers and low achievers. All right, I hope this is useful for you. And then there was a question related to correlation. All right, whether correlation, there was something 0.02 or 0.20. So which one, based on the scenario, is positively correlated? So wherein you'll have to get a deeper understanding about the correlations. All right. Then something I remember was heterogeneity and homogeneity group for high achievers and low achievers. I have already informed. Then there was a question about shy students. Will the shy students approach any of these? Like, which of these will a shy student approach? All right. Will it be an inquiry method, project-based learning, role play, or a cooperative learning method? All right. And there were questions, yes, about the achievement level. Like, I was getting a question, I remember, was 80 to 90. Okay, the IQ level between 80 to 90 is which level? Is it high achievement, gifted, or low achiever? So I believe that 80 to 90 falls under low achievers. So you'll have to have a deep understanding about the IQ level as well. Then there were questions related to cognitive flexibility. So please go through the cognitive flexibility and all the theories of cognitive flexibilities. All right. Then there was question related to plausible or profound. Just focus on these words and get a deeper understanding, because there were questions related to these words which I really don't remember the entire statement, but yes, these words were somewhere related. Then talking about the code of conduct, all right, in standard 1, giving importance to personal interest by avoiding the administration rule. So there was a question related to this, and the question was, under which will this fall? Is it respect, integrity, and few more options? So this will fall under integrity. All right, so when you will be learning the standard 1 code of conduct, all the values of UAE is given there, right? So you'll have to get a deeper knowledge to answer these questions. Now there was one question, UAE degree, if the child misconduct, like which degree it falls under. I'm really not sure about the answer. There were some degree 1, degree 2, degree 3 or degree 4, something like this. Now as I've mentioned earlier, you'll have to focus on the theories, okay, Piaget's theory, Vygotsky, and informational theory. Yeah, there is one informational theory as well. So these 3 theories were really important and many questions were asked based on these theories. Then of course we cannot miss this, the topics about differentiated learning and differentiated learning styles. Alright, and please go through the differentiated strategies, differentiated methods, etc., which a teacher should use in the class. Then the questions were related to metacognition activity, learning style, prior learning, that how important the prior learning is. Then yes, about the reinforcement, okay, the reinforcement, I could say Skinner's reinforcement, the positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, and positive punishment and negative punishment. For that, you can refer this question which were asked, what to do if you remove the negative stimulus. So as far as my understanding is, it should be negative in reinforcement, because the condition was to increase the behavior. Alright. Then there was a question related to negative punishment. Yes. Now, there was one question which is related with this curriculum construction. How this should be. Is it easy, hard to easy, difficult to complex? There were a few questions to confuse us, and this I remember. There were one more option that was specific to complex, that means easy to difficult. So our curriculum construction should always be easy to difficult. Then yeah, cognitive flexibility I have mentioned, and yes, there were 3 to 4 graphs wherein 50% of the students have achieved the difficult level, and there were graphs based on that. All right, histograms. So you will have to select, like if you look into the guide of UAE, the questions which is given there, alright, graphs are there. So similar graphs were asked. Now there were questions related to personality. Is relatively stable over time, or there are individual differences in the patterns and magnitudes of change. So basically all the cognitive, emotional and physical traits should be learnt in a deeper way. After that, there were questions related to constructive feedback. How important it is for a teacher to give constructive feedback. Alright. Then yes, there were a few questions, out of which one question was, few questions related with this. One question I remember is, yes, I remember the scenario. Let me recollect it. There was a teacher observing another teacher's class, alright, and these were the options. So we need to find the odd one out. So the options were accept unusual ideas and irrelevant ideas and encourage kids. Number 2, accept the unusual ideas and evaluate it at the end. Then there was an option, accept the unusual ideas and to write it down on the board. Alright. So now here the odd one out was, yes, of course the students can give their unusual ideas. Alright. The teacher should even accept it at the end the teacher can make a correction that, see, this is right and this is wrong, like your perception was wrong, it needs to be remodified. But at the same time, we should note that whatever the teacher had heard from the children, we should not write it on the board. So the odd one out was not to write it on the board. All right. So this was the observer's suggestion for the co-teacher. All right. Because if you write it on the board, it might create misconception to all the other kids as well. So it is very important you are accepting it, but at the same time, you're encouraging as well. However, you're not writing it on the board. You're not making it as an evident. All right. I think these were all about standard 2. So standard 2 is of 40%, standard 3 is of 40%, standard 1 and 4 is 10%. So I guess, from standard 1 it was integrity, standard 2 these many questions I could remember. Then in standard 3, there were questions about ADHD students through visual learning. All right, how effective? There were so many learnings given and the scenarios. So which one is effective? All right. Then yes, relating to auditory learning. Then about the checking the prior knowledge. I could remember about the diagnostic test, pre-test, and related to formative assessments, summative assessments, and special education kids. So to know better, what should be the first step? Yes, to know the special kids more deeply, what should be the best step a teacher should take? Should a teacher contact his or her co-teacher or take a feedback from the parents, or else? There were few many options. This is what I remember. And then yes, there were questions related with, will a personal development affect academic performance? Yes, no, few options were given to judge. And assessment tools. It should be differentiated to cater the individual needs of the kids. Then talking about diagnostic test, why is it? There were few scenarios given, that it is checking the prior knowledge, and it is checking the knowledge that how far the student had reached about the topic, and it is knowing the strength. At the same time, there was an option given that it will only give you the strength and not the weaknesses. But as I believe, the incorrect answer is this, because it will give you the strength as well as the weaknesses. Then the questions related to test specification, all right, objectivity, and validity, reliability. The questions were related to those concepts as well. Summative, as I've mentioned. Then the questions were, that as a like children, when you're giving any task, what is the main thing you should take care of before giving anything, like the proper environment. So based on so many options, I could remember that we should organize the furniture, equipment and resources. Unless and until the environment or the furniture is well enough or good enough for a kid to get comfortable, the kid will not be able to concentrate. So the questions were related to these topics. Then there were a few options which I don't remember, but I remember this as I believe that this is the correct answer, that a hyperactive kid, just for an hyperactive kid, if you give a differentiated material, what will be improved. So there were a few options, out of which I have selected self-discipline. So all the options were odd. So to maintain a kid's self-discipline, if you give a differentiated material rather than giving the same material for all, you might maintain that within the class. Then there were questions related to high expectations for learner. All right, will they be differentiated in homogeneous or heterogeneous, or will they be just be with the normal learners, and so many questions based on that. Then there were a few questions on the 60% wall should be filled with word wall. And but as far as my understanding, based on the guide which I have gone through, the UAE guide, there was a question in which they mentioned that only few part of the wall should be used as a word wall to prevent from the fire spreading. All right, so in this question it was 60% of the wall should be filled with the word wall. So this is an incorrect answer. Then there was a graph with 2 students achieving the highest mark. So exactly I don't remember how many number of students, I think it's 2 or 5, but the subjects were 3. So it's kind of histogram. There were options, and the questions were like, out of 3 subjects and 5 students, which students is prospering? Is it 1 or 4, 1 or 5, 2 or 5, like that? So you have to understand and analyze the chart and give the answer. Then, all right, there was a scenario wherein one student was helping the other student, and the teacher was supposed to give a feedback. All right, so the feedbacks were amazing job, excellent. Then there was an option, thanks for helping your friend. And the further options I'm not really able to recollect, but yeah. So in this, I believe the answer is thanks for helping your friend, and there was one more. So basically, when a teacher is expecting you to help your friend and move further if the child is lagging behind. Then, as mentioned earlier, there were questions related to reliability. All right, not consistent. Yeah, the questions were, a child couldn't score same marks after 2 tests for the same subject. That means the test is not reliable. That consistency is not there. So the options were objectivity, reliability, and validity. So when you talk about validity, it needs to measure what the content is, all right, that it needs to measure the actual subject, all right, or the actual topic. When you talk about objectivity, it talks about scoring. When you talk about reliability, there should be consistency, all right. Yes, and in standard 4, I could remember some questions related with critical thinking. So I hope these questions are a bit helpful for you. Make sure that all these concepts you go thoroughly before you attempt your exams. All right. Thank you so much. Have a great day and all the very best. God bless you all.